Hi, my friends. This is Gary Hibbs with Unleashed to Lead. And the word from the chair this week is questions. And you might question, why is the word questions? Well, to be a good leader, to lead yourself and then lead others, you really have to ask good questions. John Maxwell wrote a book about this. Great leaders ask great questions. And at Unleashed to Lead, we talk about that. You have to start really with yourself. Change is an inside job, and the hardest person to lead for me is the person that looks at me in the mirror every morning. Gary Hibbs is the hardest person to lead for Gary Hibbs. So, I have to ask myself some questions. And, from the greatest book of all, I found 3 questions that really make a difference. And the first one comes from the first book in the Bible, which is Genesis. And after the fall, Adam and Eve were trying to hide. And here's the question God asked: where are you? And it wasn't that he didn't know where they were. It was because they needed to know where they were. And they were trying to hide, and they were in shame. And God asked, where are you? So with brutal honesty, you and I have to ask ourselves, where are we really? We have to be honest with what is reality. Because if you're not living in reality, you're not going to live in a healthy way. The second question comes from John, the 38th verse, and Jesus is walking along the shore with some of John the Baptist's disciples, and he asks them this question: what do you want? What do you seek? And that question is really important. It seems simple, but when you really think about it, do we let life happen to us, or do we go after life? Do we have a vision for what we want? And you cannot live well and live a disciplined life if you don't know where you're going. And Jesus asked that question: what do you want? And the third question for me is a very, very powerful question. I used to think it was a dumb question, but you may remember the story by the pool of Bethesda. There was someone who was sick, and he was paralyzed for 38 years, and he was sitting by this pool that when the waters moved, if you got to the pool first, then you got healed. And Jesus was he saw this man, and he asked them, do you want to get well? And I thought to myself when I've read that earlier on, well, that is the craziest question in the world. Jesus, isn't that kind of cruel? I mean, he's been there 38 years, but you know what? It really is, as God would ask, a profound question. Do you want to get well? Or do you want to stay in the mess and the paralysis that you're used to? Because sometimes we sit in our mess because it's comfortable and we're afraid of change. So I would ask you these 3 questions. Where are you? What do you want? And do you want to get well? Profound questions. Ask yourself those questions. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you join me on Sunday. Every Sunday at 7:30, we get together with the Unleashed community, and I hope you join us just for 30 minutes. We get together, and I look forward to seeing you there. It's on my website, unleashedtolead.com, and get in touch with me if you can't find it. And we look forward to seeing you. Come join the community. Thanks very much.